We're the one paying your school fees, or we're the one feeding you, we're the one giving you shelter in your village. They don't have a home for you befitting. So they start to exploit her. Most of the cases of our girls that are in the Middle East for domestic servitude, they're under exploitation. If you hear their stories, gory stories. Okay, we're just receiving one now. We just rescued her through the help of IOM. She's coming. For 2 years, she was being exploited. 2 years, you know. And if not for this intervention, she couldn't have escaped it. So how do you expect the person to be normal in the society and even get married and have a decent home? They're broken, they're shattered, and it takes a long time to heal them. The rehabilitation that we're talking about of the victims. So then, but their fundamental human rights are robbed. The fundamental human right of every human person. They can't experience it because their right to movement has been stolen. They're not free. You know, they don't have freedom anymore.
Yeah.
Even their right to life is threatened. You know, these people keep them under threats. They say to them, if you leave.
Some of them seize their passports to go to other countries.
Yes. And that's their right to freedom. And the right to education, to health care. They don't provide these things. So when you make somebody bereft of their human rights and dignity, what else do you want? You finish this person.
You know, I think we should hold you. I think you're about to ask a question. Yeah. We have to go on a break now. Okay, viewers, we'll be going on a short break, and when we return, Engendered continues. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the program. If you've just joined us, this is Engendered, and it's coming to you live from our Abuja studios here on KAFTAN Television. And we are discussing child trafficking and the girl child with our guest, Anne Abok. Yeah, before we went on that short break, you told us about the impact on the child, on survivors. Now I want you to tell us the impact, the negative impact it has on the society, that's if it has, because from what you explained, you said most people go into these things, families, cousins, and the rest. Don't they know the negative impact before venturing into this child trafficking?
Thank you, Pamela. The worst part of this impact is that when I was in Europe in 2008, the Federal German Police in Germany told us that 80% of the illegal African prostitutes in Europe come from Nigeria. So that is a huge impact on our society. It is as bad as every time you are abroad and you're a Nigerian girl, they think you are also selling your body.
Yes, that's
their
mindset.
Exactly, they see every Nigerian girl as a prostituted woman because they're used to seeing our girls in large numbers. I was in Switzerland in 2016. On one street, I saw 21 Nigerian girls. Only one was from Cameroon, and they were young girls. 19, 18, 20 young girls. One street. Or is it Italy that is super saturated with our girls?
You know, it affected me. Once I hear that the girls in Italy, I just feel like
you just I know.
That's the next thing they're doing.
I know. Spain, the same thing. You know, even this Libya we're talking about, same thing. Dubai now too. Dubai now is the same thing. So that is a negative impact on the society. Number two, the family is the smallest unit of a society, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you have a broken child, it's because they've come from a broken home. And a broken home, we become a broken family, broken society. So if we keep doing what we're doing now without changing our ways as Nigerians, the whole of Nigeria is going to end up as a broken society. That's if we're not even there now. Have you seen the level of human trafficking taking place in this country? Have you heard of the baby factories?
Yeah.
That's also human trafficking.
Recently, they just got one in Abia, right?
Yes.
They discovered
They busted them. Is it Port Harcourt you're talking about? In Jos, everywhere now. It's the girl child they're using. They get these girls, lock them up, get them pregnant, and take the children.
Sell them.
What sort of society are we painting with that picture, with that brush? You know, or is it a society where we don't care about how we make money as long as we make money? Because that is the mentality behind human trafficking. Just go and get greener pasture at all costs. It doesn't matter what you have to trade.
I know. I can tell of one woman telling my mom, my son has made it up. My son has made it. My mom was not like, your son that just finished secondary school. She said, yes. Say, what is he doing? He said, he's into Yahoo now. And she was confident so to say that. Proud. My mom came back and was just seeing us. I said, this life, negativity is now the normal.
Yes.
And if you're not doing it, you're even not in the line.
And in the past, Nigeria was not like that. Nigeria would frown at things like that in the past.
It just goes back to what you said earlier about losing our values. Poverty of values.
Yes.
Poor values. We don't value. Because what Pamela just said now is what most people, like for example, there's a kind of money I would send my parents. And my mom would ask me, where did you get it from?
Good.
What did you do?
Yes.
Do you get
to this?
Yes.
Yeah, like where did you get it from? Or she sees some kind of things. What's the worth of this phone? If you tell her the words and you're like and she's like, okay, so how did the money come to play? She won't ask you like she's coding. She just like she wants to
find out genuinely.
So she wants to know. But these days you see
nothing like that.
You see little boys, you see them on social media come and flaunt their cars. I just got my mom in car. I've made it. Like, things like that, and then parents are so happy.
Yes.
The main thing is that owo ni koko. Let me translate. Money is the most important thing.
That's
what they say.
It's a very whacked value. Whacked value. I tell you.
Now, how can this be corrected? Before then, before the correction, now since you've been in this line of training with child traffickers and the rest, what method or strategies this child trafficker uses on girl child or any other person or any other victim they are going for? What method did they use so people can know
exactly
in case someone is coming? This one
what
is
trick
not
do they use to get these
Yes.
people to give them their children?
Yes, I think you mentioned one of the tricks. I met one girl in Oslo. So we went to the streets at night to help the girls in human trafficking, the victims, right? And then she came to me and said, oh, and I heard about you. I was in Denmark and I heard you were there already. And they said you'd be in Oslo. And I said, I have to meet you because we've got partners in Denmark too. So they told her about me. And she was like, oh, yeah. So and I said, yeah, I'm happy to meet you too. And then she started telling me things. She was bragging. She was so confident. She said to me, like, she's been able to pay off her debt to her traffickers. She was one I said paid 60,000 euros to her traffickers within 7 years. She paid those monies. And then she was able to build three block of flats in Benin City for her family. And then she bought, in quotes, bought visas for 2 brothers of hers to the Netherlands. And you know, she trafficked them too. Or smuggled, let me say. Maybe not, because trafficking and smuggling is different. So, and when she met me, she said she has come out of the business. She's no longer a victim of human trafficking, but she's now into prostitution. Meaning that she's doing it for herself, right? So nobody's making her do it. And she said, yeah, so she wanted to get married and she decided to get married. So she's married to a Greek policeman. She said, and I said, oh, what are you doing here? She said, oh, because I want to get married. I'm in Benin City in a big way, but he doesn't have money, he's broke. So that's why I'm here to get money. Does he know? No, he doesn't know. But the confidence that she was talking with, I lost interest in fighting human trafficking. Because I said to myself, if this chick goes to Benin City and I also go to Benin City, I'm telling them human trafficking is wrong, it's bad, it's evil, it's a crime. And she is telling them that I did it.
Reasons why they should be.
And this is what I have. Who do you think they will listen to? They will listen to her. So that's one of the tricks. They flaunt their affluence. They flaunt opportunities. They flaunt the fact that they've traveled and they've amassed wealth and that they're doing good. And they should have the cars, the houses to show for it. And then you come and you're saying, no, let's look at alternatives. Which Nigerian will listen to you? So that is a great stumbling block to our work. So that's one of the tricks. And sometimes they even lie about what they have and what they don't have. They just trick people with the promise of a better life, greener pasture. That's one of the tricks. Another one is they look at you and they sell you a dream that is in the line of what you're doing. Like me, I've been receiving emails inviting me to conferences on human trafficking. So how do they know? So they get your algorithms and then they send you invitations so that if you fall into their trap, because I heard that in Mali they trafficked some Nigerian pastors. They told them that, oh, you're so anointed, come, let's go and do ministry abroad. You will make it. And those pastors followed them and got to Mali. And they said, no, we want you to do this. And they're like, what? And they got stuck there. Now they were looking, when I heard about it, they were looking for money to come back to Nigeria. And a friend of mine, who is also a clergy, was one who was telling me. So they can traffic anybody. If you're an academic, they will come to you and say, oh, okay, there's a university. They give scholarships. You can go there. You make money. So they sell you a dream that is in line with what you're interested in. They come in any form. And once they have you, there's a peculiarity to the trafficking that comes out of Nigeria, is that they use juju.
Wow.
They'll tell you to go and swear an oath. So
Okay.
I've been to those shrines in Benin City.
Wow.
Yeah, I've gone to the voodoo priest, we sat down together with them. Oh my goodness, they give you things they want you to eat and drink there. And then they talk to you about about the fact that the girls only come here to swear the oath. And they swear that when they go abroad, they're not going to expose the traffickers, and they're going to work and pay their debts. And some of them promise them protection, that they will not have HIV, But anyway, if you break the oath, they tell you you're going to go mad, or you will die, or you'll never have children. So I was in Germany one time, and a lady called me through the Nigerian embassy. And she said to me, Anne, I heard the work you're doing. Please help me warn our girls in Nigeria that this is not life. They shouldn't listen to any false promises. They lured me here, and they took me to the juju priest, and he slept with me actually, and did this ritual, and told me that if I break this oath, I'll never have children. She said, now I've left the life of trafficking. One of our clients married her, so he paid her debt in Germany. And now she says she wants to have children. She said to me that the doctor even said she doesn't even have eggs. So she believes that it's the voodoo priest. So we went back to Edo State and we started talking to psychiatrists. Does this really happen? And they said, well, the girls that come from Europe with mental issues have gone through this. And they come back with mental issues and they know them. And some have died.
So now how do we protect and prevent the girl child from going through this?
So it's two things, right? Awareness first, and secondly is the family front.
Okay, now if you're talking about awareness, sorry to cut you. There's one thing we know is that sensitization has been going on a lot. We are hearing this thing back to back to back.
Yes.
But if you go out today now, you still hear issues of every time I'm seeing updates. ENGENDERED has done this, done that. Like things are going on, but people are still going. Why?
Yes, because they've made up their minds, and they've believed really it's endemic, this problem. Those people really believe Nigeria doesn't care for them. I've met the girls in Finland, Nigerian girls in Finland.
So do we say our government is a contributing factor?
And it's not just the government, it's the followers too. Okay. We as Nigerians, we are the problem. We don't have a government that listens or cares for us, and we ourselves, when we become governors, we do worse things. Look at it. A Nigerian who doesn't have a job can pretend to be humble. The day you employ them, the arrogance. Have you seen it? Oh my goodness, you will be so shocked.
Power can expose a lot of things.
So we ourselves, we are our problem. But I mentioned two things. I said awareness and the home front. This is a battle that has to be won at the home front. How do we raise our children? If you raise your children right, if they hear, they say that a word is enough for a wise. If your child is raised well and they hear it, they will pay attention because they are inclined to doing what is right. But if your child is not raised well, if you have raised your child in such a way that they're already damaged before they start growing, they're going to have what we call the adverse childhood experiences, which will form and frame the entire architecture of their lives. Which means that this child will be exhibiting some abnormal behaviors that you wonder who gave birth to this child. And then you say things like, oh, you can give birth to a child, but you can't give birth to their character. No, you can give birth to their character by the way you raise them. And everything this child is doing is rebelling against you, because you haven't really taken your place as the primary caregiver the way God designed it originally. Raising a family is not a joke. It's not because of pressure of the society. If people are not up to it, they shouldn't even start it.
Thank you.
You can't give birth to children and allow them like that. No ways. This is human beings we're talking about. Most of the people that have problems with addiction, whether to food or to sex or to pornography or to alcohol, drugs, check their background. They've gone through neglect, this thing we're talking about, adversity in childhood. Neglect is huge. A child is supposed and is designed to be loved and cared for, to be assured of security right from the womb. But what do we do? A mother is pregnant and all she's doing, she's allowing all sort of negative emotions to fill her life. She doesn't even know it's affecting the child right there before the child is even born. So the child is born already feeling rejected. Rejection is dangerous. They are looking for, they grow up with a vacuum, they're looking for someone to fill it up for them. They go after men, they go after drugs, they go after, the boys who go into armed robbery, all these kind of vices. There's a pain in their heart and they're trying to medicate it. They're trying to find happiness in different expressions. And then when we see them, we start correcting them. We start telling them nasty things about themselves. Calling them thieves, robbers, prostitutes. We're driving them further. Because the problem needs therapy. They need psychological attention. They need connection, not correction. They need relationship. We're creatures that were meant for relationship. And if that is tampered with, we cannot be normal.
Okay, now what you just mentioned now is speaking to parents that should bring up their children.
Yes.
What of parents that are the traffickers themselves? How do we handle this? Because they already don't have the right values to give their children. So how do we now handle the parents that are already traffickers themselves?
I think that case has gone south. But then we have to think of them, because they also didn't have this kind of healthy home to grow in. That's why, so that's the result of their upbringing. Do you know that 70% of the girls in prostitution have been abused from their homes before? 70%. So these are the things that influence and make them who they are tomorrow. So those ones are already traffickers. I don't know what we'll do. Let's find a way to. But in the work we do, we actually work with traffickers too. We work with them. Even they too, they are trying to medicate a pain in their lives. Because you have to journey with them, connect with them so well that you restore their humanity into them. And then they will understand what they're doing is they're afflicting another human person. So we've been able to remove some of the traffickers from that trade.
Okay, but do we have laws and policies that guide against all this?
Yes, we do. But the problem is implementation. And like this case we're talking about now, we're talking about the girl child, we're talking about child rights. Already, I mentioned religion and culture is fighting against the rights of the child in this country. Because there are some religions that they will tell you, no, she's not a child, I can marry her. So they're already going against the law. And then you can't touch them because they say it's their religion. Some will tell you it's their culture. The woman doesn't have a right. It's the man that has the right. So let her stay and be looking after us. Let her sell her body. It's their culture. So they're fighting against these rights and laws. But doesn't mean we should stop. And that's why governmental organizations, non-governmental organizations, stakeholders, you are doing a fantastic job by even putting this show together. You're doing awareness. Even though you feel like people are hearing it, but they're not changing. But keep doing what you're doing. Let's saturate the airwaves with these messages. We can save some. So yeah, those are some of the things. The implementation is a problem. But if we go ahead, we have good people who are bound by the desire to see human rights enacted. They can fight for these cases. They can prosecute these people. And once we get a prosecution like that, we name and tell.
Okay, let's look at the survival rate now. Like, what's the percentage? How can you assess the survival rate? People that you've tried to rescue from that act of trafficking, and how have they been able to fit into the society?
This is a good question. The rate of surviving is very small. So that's why we always say that prevention is better than cure, because to cure people, to get them to a level of surviving, is the hardest part of our work. Okay, it's like many are trafficked, but few are rescued, and few are reintegrated into society. The same society that is hostile to people, to the girl child that traffics them, is the same society that when they are coming back to be reintegrated, they stigmatize them. They call them names. We don't want them to come back to Nigeria. Keep them there. We want to protect our homes, they say. We want to protect our homes from them. There's no compassion. How does the rate of survivors or surviving is low, but it doesn't discourage us, and we just use the principle of helping one at a time. So we do have people who are surviving, people who are coming back and reintegrating into society after they've been rehabilitated. We have those, but they're not in thousands like we have the trafficking in thousands. Yeah.
Now, what word of advice will you have for our government, for individuals, and also for survivors of this trafficking?
Whatever will make Nigeria and Nigerians go through desperation and vulnerability, the government must pay attention to. Like even this removal of subsidy that we're talking about. When I hear things like that, I start to look at the scale of human trafficking. Because if there is anything that feels like pressure on the human person, traffickers take advantage of it. They're waiting. When COVID hit, trafficking went off the roof. COVID, globally. War, trafficking, now Ukraine, trafficking. So they are waiting. Insecurity in Nigeria, traffickers are at it. Right now with this high rate of irregular migration, traffickers are in 80% of it. They're behind it, 80%. Okay, so whatever it is that will put pressure on the masses, on Nigerians, I think the government should try to alleviate it. Should have a human face, to feel deeply for Nigerians, just because we want to save Nigeria as a nation.
I think this particular stories is actually it's getting to me, because I can't imagine what people are going through out there. Sometimes we'll see movies and we see people, they are paying their way to enter a bus to London. You hear stories like that. I'm going to London by road, I'm going to Germany by road, and I'm wondering, like, where does it work? And we keep hearing seeing these movies, watching it, but then it's so alarming that someone you watch that movie with is still going to pay to go to Europe by road.
It happened to me in Benin City. We're showing, we make films also on human trafficking, because all these things, I have lots of stories in my head. So we put them in a film and we take it back to the hotspot areas and we show it to create awareness. I sat in the movie hall and I was watching this film, and the girl was looking and going, wow, I wish I was the one to be trafficked. I will never come back to, because there's a line in the film that says, I'd rather die than to go back to Nigeria. And she said, me too, if I escape this country, I will never. So I kept my eyes on her. Went to the red carpet and I called her and I said, please, may I have a photo with you? She came, so we had a photo. And I asked her, so what do you do for a living? She said, I finished school and I couldn't get a job, but I'm volunteering for an NGO. What does the NGO do? They are fighting human trafficking. I said, but I heard you say you want to go. She said, yes. I'm telling you. She volunteers for an anti-human trafficking NGO. But she's looking for an opportunity to go at all costs.
I have a neighbor who went, the lady, Mommy Abdul. He left for like 5 years ago. My close neighbor. And left the son. The son was, let's say, 8-9 years. Now you need to see the boy gallivanting around. She left the boy for nobody, like no family, just another neighbor. Just in my Yoruba speaking community. I'll take care of this child. Till now, anytime I see this boy, I'll just shake my head. Goodness. And the woman we had went to Libya. And what is she doing in Libya? Prostitution. Because she does not have skill. There's nothing she can do for herself other than to use her body. So education is still, when we talk about education, we are not saying you must go to the 4 walls of the university or 4 walls of secondary school. Be useful to yourself.
Yes.
Get skill, no matter how little.
Yes.
Where I went to make hair, was it last, I cannot remember, where I went to make hair. The person was telling me that, this hair I'm doing is even better than who went to university. I didn't say anything because she's being useful to herself and she's being truthful to herself.
That's good. Yes.
Most people who went to university just went there because my parents say I should go to school
and bring a
They
certificate.
had nothing. They did not think about themselves. From everything you got, the highlight of everything I got is save a human and you save a nation.
Exactly. Save a human and save a nation.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and it's been an
Thank
interesting
you.
section with you.
And you have lots of sad stories, but
Yes.
I guess people get the lesson out there.
Thank you so much, and it's great work you're doing out there. Keep sensitizing people. We believe that at least people are listening to you. Thank you so much. And that's all we can take on today's episode of Engendered on KAFTAN Television. Please do well to join us next time for an interesting episode. I remain Chidinma Ufomadu.
I am Pamela Ajaero. Bye for now.